Good morning and welcome to another edition of From the Press Box here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Of course, we are part of the Sports Talk family here at WHPC. We're on every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Sports Talk, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then there's an additional Sports Talk Tuesdays, 10 p.m. to midnight. My name is Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is award-winning sports writer and, yes, my brother, Tim Leonard. Good morning, brother. How are you?
Good morning, brother. I'm outstanding. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine, brother. It's a little chilly this morning, but that's okay. But, you know, I don't know where to start, brother. You want to start with the...
It is January, brother.
Yeah, I know that. But, you know, I so far we've had like a little bit of snow, and that it, went away in about a couple of days, and we may be getting some snow this week, but we haven't had a lot of snow considering. I don't want to jinx anything because we're almost at the end of January. But anyway, brother, Super Bowl 55 has been set. And for the first time ever, the place hosting the game will have their team playing in their own stadium. Kind of interesting.
Yes.
Tampa Bay,
and the first time that the fans won't be allowed in. Although there will be some fans, but there obviously won't be a packed sellout crowd. No,
and it's going to be a different Super Bowl in the sense that become for a lot of big time rollers, so to speak. It becomes the destination. Not that they're going to gamble or anything, but well, maybe they are, but they just don't do it in Tampa Bay. But a lot of people like to show up and be the cool guy or gal and hang out in their box or wherever they're going to sit. So
right,
that's not going to happen this year. What 22,000 seats are going to be given to
22,000 total. There's 7,500 seats are going to be given to frontline workers.
Oh, okay.
Around the country. I mean, the Super Bowl, you can talk about how it's a home field advantage, and from the sense of, there is no travel, there is no team hotel. Although I don't know, maybe the Buccaneers will be doing that, but they're home. So This could wind up being quote unquote a normal couple of weeks for them. They can, I don't know how Bruce Arians is going to handle it, but, will he put his team in a hotel and have it be, like a quote unquote normal Super Bowl week for them and have them away from their families and, kind of doing what a team normally would do for the Super Bowl? Or will he say, you know what, guys, it's a home game. Stay home. Stay with your families. Have it be as normal a week as possible. Don't let it turn into the circus for his team. And that part of it is going to be interesting to me because, like you said, this has never happened before. It's never happened where a team has played for a Super Bowl in its own stadium. So the Buccaneers will have that familiarity because they know the place. Let's face it, most Super Bowl stadiums, or in fact pretty much every Super Bowl stadium, is the home team or is a home arena for an NFL team. So they'll at least know the place. But obviously the Buccaneers could not know any stadium better than the one they'll be playing the Super Bowl in.
Right.
That being said, those Super Bowl crowds aren't rabid fans for the most part. Most of these tickets go to corporate sponsors and corporate types. It's very few of the actual tickets to the game go to the fans of the team. So I'm kind of curious to see how the NFL is handling that, and I seriously doubt that they'll just be putting tickets on sale in Tampa Bay and saying, all right, well, whoever wants to show up, come on, buy tickets, because obviously then it would be a larger percentage of tickets for Tampa Bay, but I don't see the NFL doing that. But, like you said, 7,500 tickets for frontline workers. They'll be traveling in from all different parts of the country, I assume. I don't know how many people are, first of all, I'm assuming they're all vaccinated by now, or at least I'm hoping they are. But I don't know how many of them will want to travel. I don't know how many of them will actually even want to take the time off, because we're still obviously dealing with major issues with COVID in this country.
Right. And it was easier to say, oh, we're going to give that amount of tickets to the frontline workers to make it look good. You know, like I said, I still think that the NFL and all the sports leagues should go to now President Biden and say, we'll be the first ones to take it, because, you know, they have to convince many different groups. It's not just the anti-vaxxers who are saying, well, we really don't need this. There's a lot of different groups who might be afraid that the government vaccine might do something to them. You know,
or that Bill Gates is trying to microchip them.
Right. So I mean, but there is some legitimate.
By the way, he's
fear.
not. Bill Gates is not trying to microchip anybody.
I know that, but
I just wanted to state that for the record.
But there are certain groups and certain people who think, well, you know, look what happened with Tuskegee Airmen, you know, years ago, right, and stuff like that. So that overhangs a lot of things. So, I mean, I would go, if I'm the NFL and all the leagues, hey, vaccinate us. We'll make a big party out of it. And then other people might think it's okay too, because some people are not going to get this no matter what. Right.
Which I understand. I understand from their standpoint that they're irrational about it. But the problem that I've heard with the vaccine, though, brother, and I understand what you're saying, and I think it's not a bad idea. In fact, it's probably a good idea. But the vaccine does kind of put you on the shelf for a day or two.
Sure.
You know, different people have had different reactions to it, and you know, I've seen and heard friends and people I know who have, you know, you basically, it's almost like having COVID for like a day and a half. So, you know, because your body is adjusting to, you know, I mean, let's face it, what is a vaccine? It's a variant of the disease. So right, that you're dealing with symptoms, and
that's right.
Nobody. If you give it to NBA players, let's say, a lot of those NBA players wouldn't be able to play if they had a game the next day.
That's true.
That's the issue. And if you can figure out a way to do it, and you know, like, could you do it with baseball players now? You know, that would be something to say, and say, all right, you know, let's vaccinate every baseball player. Well, they're not doing anything right now, so yeah, why not?
Yeah.
If you could do it that way, then yes, do it. But it would be very difficult to try something like that right now with hockey players or basketball players, because their seasons already have become so condensed because of COVID that there's not really a window there to say, all right, we're gonna give everybody vaccinations, but you have a game scheduled time. I mean, the NBA schedule is completely unforgiving this season, even, you know, with 74 games. And they really did jam a lot of games into a short period of time. The NHL isn't quite as packed, but you know, how many teams are going to have that kind of a window? So, you know, I would like to see it, but let's do it with baseball and see what happens with them and go from there.
That's true. Anyway, the Buccaneers. First of all, we should say, the game is in Tampa Bay. It's not Tampa. It's Tampa Bay. That's because some people, you know, will just say Tampa. It's like saying York. You know, York City. You know, New York. It's New York City. Anyway,
well, I mean, there is a Tampa, brother. I mean, there is a Tampa, Florida.
Though these guys are Tampa Bay. You know, so.
I'm not sure what you're getting at. I see you have a little smirk on your face, so it's one of those things.
It's a Tampa Bay thing.
I think it's like a Rob Leonard inside joke here.
It's a Tampa Bay thing, Tim. Anyway, it's going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes versus Brady. This is going to be a great game. Brady goes, get this, brother, 10 times. This is his 10th time in the Super Bowl.
Oh, my God.
Out of 55, he's been in 20% of the Super Bowls.
I saw a couple of stats last night. Tom Brady is playing in a Super Bowl in his third decade. So he played obviously in one in the 20s, he played in one in the 10s, and he's played in one in the 2000s. Yep. So this is you know, and obviously you can do that in a 12-year span if possible, but Tom Brady obviously has been around a lot longer than 12 years. Also, this will be the biggest age difference between starting quarterbacks in Super Bowl history with 18 plus years, almost 19 years between 43-year-old Tom Brady and 25-year-old Patrick Mahomes. A couple interesting stats there for you, brother.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's going to be a good game, I think. One thing about Brady, if they're down, you don't count this guy out. That's
you can't.
The history of him is he always comes back.
You know, everything pointed yesterday to the Green Bay Packers winning this game. Number 1 seed. Aaron Rodgers is having a phenomenal season. He's probably the MVP. And all I kept hearing from people, Brady's going to find a way. Brady always finds a way. And he's 43 freaking years old.
Yep.
But he's still finding a way. And you know what? You have to give him some credit for that. New Yorkers love to hate Brady because he was the Patriots quarterback all those years. But you have to respect what he did this season, especially. And it pretty much answers the question: who was the key to the success in New England? It was Tom Brady.
Looks that way, doesn't it?
43 years old, he's still getting it done. He got the hell out of New England at exactly the right moment. He said, "You know what? I'm out of here. Got to go."
Well,
take care of Bill.
You know, could be that America's idiot Gronk is also part of this team. You know, he could be the guy too.
America's idiot he's had an acceptable season. And like I said, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago. Don't be surprised if Julian Edelman comes to join the party next season.
Oh, I would if I'm Julian Edelman.
It's like with senior citizens leaving Beantown to go down to Florida. Hey, I'm retired. Take it easy. I'm out.
Yeah, well, the party's still going on, so you know why not?
You know, as long as you got Gronk opening beers on his head, the party's going.
That's right. So it was actually a pretty close game. I'm sorry, Tampa Bay and the Packers. It was 31-26.
Yes, get the final score in there.
What?
I said get the final score in there.
Okay, 31-26. And the Packers, you know, should have they went for it on 4th down on that time because
absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too, and that's a Rob Leonard thing, you know, brother. You always go
that's why. Down. That's why I said absolutely they should have gone for it. But you know, let's give a little background first, brother. The score was I believe 31-23 at that point,
right?
And the Packers had the ball on the 8-yard line. Aaron Rodgers had thrown 3 incomplete passes. They were trying to get the touchdown, and then. I don't even, you know, then, and there was a little more than 2 minutes left in the game. And for some reason, Green Bay's offensive coordinator, Matt LaFleur, pulls the offense off the field and said, "Oh, let's kick a field goal." Matt LaFleur is a respected offensive coordinator. And he's somebody who's supposed to know what he's doing. He might have been the only person in the stadium that didn't think that you have to go for the touchdown, because who doesn't know you're not getting the ball back with Tom Brady quarterbacking the other team? I mean, I really thought everybody knew that. You are not seeing the ball again. But the Packers went for the field goal with the thinking of, all right, we'll get a stop, we'll get the ball back. They were, even if they get the ball back, they're still only going to have about a minute to do anything with it. So now you're really asking Aaron Rodgers to do something extraordinary, whereas if you go for it on 4th and goal from the 8, you know, is he going to have to do something extraordinary? Yes, he is. But it's not as extraordinary as an 80-yard drive in a minute.
Right, and also, you know,
it's an absurd ask.
And even if, let's say, they didn't get it, you know, they're still on the 8-yard line. Tampa Bay is still on the 8-yard line, and they have to go. You know, they're not going to kneel 4 times because it's too close. Yeah, close to the end zone.
Right, and well, the Packers had, I believe, had at least a couple of timeouts. So, you know, the situation there is you have a situation where they want it to be closer than the 8 points, because I guess LaFleur was thinking that we're going to have to score and get the 2-point conversion, and if either one of those things doesn't happen, then we're done. And you know what? Okay, try that, do it, but don't kick a field goal, get to 5 points, and think you're getting the ball back from Tom Brady, who really all he had to do was get 1 first down.
Right.
Tom Brady's figuring that out. Tom Brady, he's been doing that pretty much his entire career. You know, when the Patriots, everybody knows when Brady was with the Patriots, if they got the ball any point in the last 4 minutes and the game was less than a score, the Patriots were winning that game. Brady did it time after time after time. So, I don't know. Matt LaFleur, again, seemed to be the only guy in the stadium who didn't understand that or didn't know that, and I was just gobsmacked, as the British would say. The other thing about that, brother, is that the Jets' new offensive coordinator is a guy named Mike LaFleur, and I'll let you say it, brother.
What?
Yes, they're brothers.
Oh, they're brothers. Oh, okay. Like the Ryan brothers.
Yes. So I'm hoping that the Jets got the more aggressive brother, the brother who maybe has the more cojones, as they say, because I didn't understand this call from Mike LaFleur. It didn't make any sense to me, and it just seemed like it guaranteed a loss. And maybe Rodgers doesn't throw a touchdown pass, but I'm putting the game in the hands of my MVP quarterback, as opposed to hoping that my defense stops a legend who has been in this situation literally dozens, if not hundreds of times before, and has succeeded in that situation the overwhelming majority of those times.
No, I agree, brother. I thought it was a mistake. It happened in the Bills too. The Bills game with the Chiefs. On the second period, they were on the 3-yard line, and they go for the field goal.
Yeah, that was another, and that one. I mean, obviously with that game, the Chiefs wound up winning 38-24. So that game wasn't quite as close. But part of the reason it wasn't quite as close was because of decisions like that.
Right.
You are not going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs with field goals.
No.
And I understand the desire to put points on the board and to try to get as much of a lead as you can, but it doesn't work that way against Kansas City, because Patrick Mahomes and that offense can score very quickly. That is a team that has a lot of speed and has a lot of weapons. And just to say, all right, we're going to kick a field goal here because we want to put some more points on the board, it doesn't work.
No,
and that's the way to do it.
But it's also psychological, brother. The Bills could have went in with a touchdown, and they would be feeling a lot better than with a field goal, because they're like, "No, we got a field goal. We maybe the players start thinking, well, maybe we don't believe in ourselves or our coaches don't." But that's what I was thinking. And to me, that what do I always say? If you're that close, always go for it, for the touchdown, not the field goal. If you're there to do field goals, you're there not to win. You're there just, like you said, to get points. But to me, you going for the touchdown is a sign that okay, we're playing this to win, not to place.
Right. Well, I mean, and it was a 20-yard field goal. It was right before. There was 11 seconds left in the first half. And the score at that point was 21-9. It became 21-12. Well, if you put a touchdown in there, it's 21-16. Now it's a one-score game.
Right.
So to me, that's a chance you have to take, and it's like you said, to me it's the right play. And to say what I said again, you're not going to beat the Chiefs with field goals. It doesn't work that way. They scored 21 points in the second quarter.
Right.
That is what that team can do. They're a dynamic force on offense. The offense, their defense is pretty good. Their offense is elite. They have game breaking speed at multiple positions on that offense, and they have a lot of skill players, and they have, as far as I'm concerned, the best tight end in football in Travis Kelce. Now, were they looking at Patrick Mahomes as possibly being diminished because of the concussion protocol that he went through last week? He was also dealing with turf toe. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is probably the happiest guy on the planet right now in terms of he's got 2 weeks before his next game. He needs a little bit of time off to heal, especially the toe. Head wise, he seemed fine, but he needs to be able to move like he usually moves. But that being said, the touchdown quote unquote pass that he threw underhanded to Travis Kelce in the third quarter was just absurd. But it was absurd in all the best ways. I mean, sure. How many times do you see a quarterback throwing an underhanded pass? He looked like a pitcher in softball.
Well, in the old days we call it a lateral, brother.
It wasn't even a lateral; it was a forward lateral. It was just he just like looped his arm around like a softball pitcher. It was ridiculous. I laughed when I saw it. It was like, what are you doing? But it worked. Of course, it worked. He's Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
How much he throws passes left-handed, and it works. I've never seen a guy just be so adaptable, and with all of that adaptation, so much of it is successful. He just creates on the fly, and somehow makes it work.
That's what type of guys Mahomes and Brady are. They tend to get things right even when it's looking like it's not going to be right. It tends to go right. So. It's going to be a great game.
Well, I'll point out something just to interrupt for 1 second, brother. And it worked out for Tampa Bay, even though Brady threw interceptions. I think it was on 3 consecutive possessions in the second half. I mean, he kept throwing the ball, turning it over, and the Buccaneers still won the game.
Right.
How often does that happen where a quarterback throws that many interceptions and you still wind up winning the game? I mean, that was because the Packers weren't able to take advantage of those turnovers.
Yep. And,
I think Super Bowl. I think we're looking at a good game. I think the Tampa Bay defense. I think is first of all, I will say I don't think anybody is fast enough to keep up with Kansas City. So Tampa Bay is going to have to get it's pass rush. They have a really good pass rush. That pass rush is going to have to do what the Giants did in a couple of Super Bowls and get in Brady's face and rattle him. And if they're able to do that, then the game might be a blowout. Because if you can rattle Brady and get in his grill and pressure him, that's when he's not the legend. That's his kryptonite is getting in his face, forcing him to rush the ball, and that rattles him. But if the Buccaneers can protect him, or if they can, get the quick passes like he used to throw all the time with the Patriots, this is going to be a game. And the over under, Vegas has already set the over under at something like, I think it was 57 or something, which is an absurd. It's the highest over under ever for a Super Bowl, and that's just the opening line.
Well, look, Tim, the Chiefs scored 38. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers scored 31. I mean, that's 69 points right there. So
exactly, and then I'd say 57. I'm tempted to bet the over.
Yeah, I might too.
I see this being a track meet, and that's what Kansas City wants.
Yeah, well, we want to send our condolences out to our good friend Joe Ritter, who's a big Bills fan, and I'm sure is in mourning right now that they lost. We used to make fun of Joe here at the radio station. He used to work here with us at WHPC. And we used to say, how are you a Bills fan? A couple of years ago, there was no reason to be a Bills fan. But, he's a loyal Bills fan, and he was, I'm sure, saddened yesterday after the loss. So, Joe, if you're out there, don't worry. We're with you for next year, except if the Jets do good.
The Bills have a very good future right now.
They do.
For at least the next couple of years, which in football is a long time. But they got a lot of really good foundation pieces. They're going to have to try to figure out, though, how to get past the Chiefs. And obviously, Patrick Mahomes isn't going anywhere with that monster contract that he signed.
Yep.
This past season. So if Patrick Mahomes isn't going anywhere, then the Buffalo Bills have to figure out how to beat Patrick Mahomes, and that's not going to be easy.
No, it's not. So, anyway, it's going to be a great game. We should say the Jets, Deshaun Watson wants to come to the Jets, or he's picked the Jets as one of the teams he wants to leave. He wants to leave the Texans, the Houston Texans. And the Jets are
the top of the list, king of the hill.
So what happens if this actually happens?
There's a lot. There's a lot that's going to happen before we have that. Let's face it. If the Jets have to make a decision, because obviously Deshaun Watson is a franchise type quarterback. But that being said, he's already making franchise quarterback money. So If the Jets bring him in, they're going to lose a ton of salary cap space, first of all. They will also lose multiple first-round picks. The only reason I'm not crazy about this trade, because the trade, this just came out a couple days ago. Armando Salguero of the Miami Herald actually kind of wrote this story. Because the thinking was that the Dolphins were the favorites, because Deshaun Watson is pretty fed up with the Houston Texans. It is an organization that, I'll be kind here, is not known for its diversity. He wanted the Texans to hire Robert Saleh, the guy who's the Jets' new head coach, and that is the reason why the Jets have become the team that he wants to go to, because he wants to play for Saleh. So I don't know if the Houston Texans can fix this, maybe by hiring Eric Bieniemy as their head coach, because obviously Watson wants more diversity with his franchise. He's upset that he wasn't consulted on the general manager hire, and I think he just wants his opinion to matter, but it seems to be fractured beyond repair at this point. Now, that being said, the whispers are that the Texans would want at least 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. Now,
it's a lot.
If I'm the Jets, I might think about 3 first-round picks, as long as the 2021 first-round pick was not one of them. I'm not giving away the number 2 pick in the draft as part of a monster package to get Deshaun Watson. I'm just not doing it. It's to me, it's too much to give up, even for a franchise quarterback, based on the fact that you also have to take on his $25 million plus contract per season. So, yes, is Deshaun Watson a very talented guy? Absolutely. Is Deshaun Watson capable of winning a Super Bowl? Well, he won national championships with Clemson, so yeah, he is. So he is a guy who, he's not just a scrambler, but he is a very capable quarterback with his arm, with his legs, and with his head. He's a guy that you'd love to have him on your team. But I'm not giving away 3 first-rounders plus other draft picks. I mean, it's going to take a huge haul to bring Deshaun Watson to the Jets.
Yeah.
So if I can get him for maybe a couple of first-rounders and maybe a second and third, and do it that way. But if the Texans are adamant about, well, yeah, we need the number 2 pick this year, I'm walking away.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Jets have too much to rebuild right now. As much as Deshaun Watson would fill a big hole, the hole is a very big hole. So
agree.
And plus, guess who's back? Guess who's back in town, brother? Woody Johnson,
the Woodman.
The Woodman is back.
Now, this all folds together, brother. Because here's the deal. First of all, the problem with the Jets acquiring Deshaun Watson now, right? This offseason, the Jets are not a win now team. The Jets still have a lot of holes, as you just said. The Jets have a lot of holes. It's not just a quarterback hole; it's a lot of holes to fill. So, from that standpoint, to give away that much draft capital and say, all right, Deshaun Watson's coming in, he's not going to be a savior. It's not going to be, all right, Deshaun Watson's here. We're a winner now. We're going to win 10, 11 games. It's not. Right. The Jets have so many other holes that need to be filled. The timing of it for the Jets is not good. But with Woody Johnson coming in, Woody is known to love the splashy move. He loves seeing the Jets on the back page of the Post, of the Daily News, and on whatever page that the Times has their sports on these days. Woody loves that. He loves to see the Jets in the big, 84-point type, Jets swing trade, Jets get Desean. That's his thing. He loves that.
Yeah, well.
But you have to let football people make the decisions. You can't just bring a player in because it's going to give you a couple of days of headlines and think that you just fixed something when you may wind up breaking it even more. Because if you put Deshaun Watson on the team, yes, your team will be better. But if getting Deshaun Watson means you can't put pieces around him, then you've done yourself no favors.
Yeah.
And what good is it? Then down the road, Deshaun Watson, 2-3 years from now, when he sees that, hey, we're not getting any better, well, that's because we traded all these first-round picks to get you.
Yeah, it's like Archie Manning. Yeah, Archie Manning,
Archie Manning was a great quarterback. He played on a lot of lousy teams in New Orleans.
So
running for his life.
Which is why he's not in the Hall of Fame, unfortunately. Yeah.
But Archie's on a winning team, and he's probably in the Hall of Fame. He was a very good quarterback. Look at his sons. His sons are.
But Woody Johnson's back, though. Woody Johnson's back. So after helping our country as the ambassador to Great Britain, so saving us from his son Christopher. So good for him. Anyway, we should say you're listening to 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. And this hour of From the Press Box is brought to you by the Morning Madhouse, which is on right before us on Mondays, but it's also on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. 2 hours of fun and music right here on 90.3 WHPC. Anyway, brother, let's talk about the Yankees. How do you say the guy's last name? I know his first name, Jameson.
Yes, I'm sure you do, bro.
Many a night has been joined by Jameson.
Yes, Jameson Tyon, bro. Tyon, almost like Taiwan on.
Okay, well, yeah, that's the way it was with the Jameson
exactly
liquid. So is this really worth it? I mean, the Yankees gave up 4 minor leaguers. They get them from the Pirates. Pirates get 4 minor leaguers, and they're happy because. And this is where the opposite thing, and we talked about this yesterday, brother. This is when we have a budget salary cap in all sports, but you got a team like the Pirates who are going to do it on the cheap, and they're not even going to try probably, and they really should make it so if a team like the Pirates is going to have a $40 million worth of contracts. Then teams like the Yankees or the Mets or the Dodgers should be able to spend a little more because that's not really fair to the league or the players, really. We were in a situation like this a couple of years ago or a few years ago when the Derek Jeter group bought the Miami Marlins. They traded all of their big salaries, Marcell Ozuna, Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich. They traded a lot of great players because they wanted to get salaries down. And at this point for next season, the Pittsburgh Pirates, their salary, I don't even know what it's going to be. It's going to be under $40 million more than likely because they keep trading all of their best players. One of the few players they have left is Gregory Polanco, who is a very good player but has a tendency to get hurt. And has been injured now, so I doubt the Pirates will trade him. They'll probably keep him around until the trading deadline in the 2021 season, and hopefully he will have proved himself to be healthy by then, and they can get a better return from him. Because if they traded him now, the return would be very minimal, actually. Because, like I said, he can't prove his health, and if you can't prove health, then you don't really have a trade asset. What the Yankees gave up was negligible, basically. And there's a reason for that. Jameson Tyon has had 2 Tommy John surgeries. He is coming back from a Tommy John surgery this season. So again, it's a matter of proving health. And I think basically the Pirates
picked up 4 lottery tickets from the Yankees. I'm not crazy about the fact that the Yankees gave away 3 of their top 21 prospects in this trade, but the highest ranked guy was Miguel Yahuray, who was actually with the Yankees briefly in 2020. Made I believe 3 appearances for them. Looked pretty good. Struck out eight batters in 7 1/3 innings. So he's got he's got some swing and miss, but he's not an overpowering guy. So he's a guy that I think some people see as like maybe a 4th starter. That's his ceiling. So the other guy is Ronzi Contreras, is another pitcher. An infielder, shortstop named Michael Escado, and an outfielder named Kanan Smith. So the Yankees are getting someone who's controllable, someone in Jameson Taillon, who was the number 2 pick in the draft in 2010. And to put some context on that, Bryce Harper was selected before him, and Manny Machado was selected after him. Now, both of those guys are currently on $300 million contracts. Jameson Taillon will make $2.25 million next season after arbitration, because he still doesn't have enough service time to have become a free agent and gotten a big money contract, which he wouldn't have gotten because he can't stay healthy. So the Pirates get themselves 4 lottery tickets. And I made the comparison to, if you remember the trade that the Yankees made with Texas to get Alex Rodriguez. And the Yankees told the Rangers, hey, here's 4 names, pick one, and we'll put him in the deal with Alfonso Soriano. Now, one of those players on that list was Robinson Cano. Texas didn't pick Robinson Cano. They picked another player who basically amounted to nothing. But that trade could have been Alfonso Soriano and Robinson Cano for Alex Rodriguez, which would have obviously been a considerably worse trade for the Yankees. But at that point, Robinson Cano was not a big prospect. So they're hoping that one of these guys is Robinson Cano. They're hoping that one of these 4 players turns into somebody who can be a cornerstone type player for them, or even really a serviceable type of player for them. Because they are now in a complete and total rebuild. They're going to trade off whatever assets they have, and they're going to see if they can find players who in about 3 or 4 years will be able to be the core of their major league franchise. But the Pirates this season, we're looking at 50 and 110, assuming they play a 162 game schedule. That's what we're looking at for the Pirates. They're going to lose more than 100 games. It's undoubtedly. Right. And they'll get the number 1 or 2 pick in the draft, and they'll probably wind up doing the same thing in 2022. It's not going to get better in a hurry in Pittsburgh. They've traded a lot of players, and they've traded them for young prospects who they are hoping down the road will turn into the teams that they had. 2012-13 or whatever, when the Pirates were competitive for a few years with McCutchen and leading those teams, Andrew McCutchen. So that's the hope, and that's where this Pirates team is going right now. The shame of it is for Pittsburgh is they don't really have that many assets to trade. They've already traded Josh Bell, the first baseman, and they don't really. They traded pitcher Joe Musgrove to the Padres a couple weeks ago. But there aren't that many big name assets that they're going to be able to get a good, like a really strong haul of minor league prospects back. And the Yankees are kind of getting a lottery ticket as well, because they were looking to get rotation help. And there are a couple of good things about Taillon. Obviously, if he's healthy, he's a good pitcher. In fact, he can be a very good pitcher. Number 2 is he's pretty close friends with Garrett Cole, which, you always like to keep your ace happy. Right. But if Taillon breaks down again and has another, significant injury, and especially if he winds up hurting his elbow again and needing Tommy John, his career might be over. So, 2 Tommy John surgeries. Yeah, I've heard, I think we've all heard there are cases of that. I don't know of anybody who's had 3 Tommy John surgeries and is still pitching. So he's, I don't know if it's a wind up issue or mechanics issue or whatever, but Jameson Taillon is on, is on a fine line at this point where the next injury could be the last injury. And again, this is a guy who was a 2nd overall pick in the draft. This is a guy who should have significant talent, but we might be seeing the end of it. We could be seeing the end of his career. We could be seeing the rebirth of a guy who has ace potential.
Yeah, but the Yankees have always had good observers, so to speak. And I think they can figure out why maybe, as you said, maybe his rotation isn't what it should be. Maybe he should throw different pitches now. Is it where he's at or something?
Well,
maybe
he said, I'm sorry to cut you off, brother. He says his arm is feeling good. He said his spin rate is up, which is encouraging. But again, I've said this many times before, it's not the season that you come back from Tommy John surgery where you're feeling, where you're feeling yourself again. It's the season after. So the Yankees will have Jameson Taillon for next season. Like I said, he's still controllable. He's still an arbitration candidate. But if the Yankees can get, the number 2 overall pick, Jameson Taillon, next season, then they have a chance to really be a big winner in this trade. It's not a Luke Voit situation. I've seen people comparing this to Luke Voit and saying, well, the Yankees can find talent. This guy is not finding talent. This guy was the number 2 overall pick in the draft. People know his name. They know who he is. He's just underachieved because of injuries. So, do you give up 4 marginal prospects for him? These guys are ranked in the system, but let's face it, the number 15 prospect in your system rarely ever becomes a star. So the Yankees gave up lottery tickets, and they're hoping that they get the big lottery tickets, basically.
And the Yankees have always had a good minor league, so you're right. The choice, if you're going to pick from a minor league situation, you go with the Yankees. They've always had a good minor league.
Well, yeah, it's not as good as it has been now. I mean, there are the teams I would maybe go for, but these guys, all of these players that the Pirates got, they offer something, and the Pirates saw something. So you take the shot.
Right. We sad news last week, brother. Hank Aaron died. Truly one of the great players in the history of Major League Baseball. Of course, he was the home run champ for a long time until Barry Bonds came along, and who knows how Barry did it? I remember
we know.
Yeah, I know. I remember there was a banner right around when Bonds was about to hit his go over the numbers, go over 755, and it said
756.
I think it said something like Babe did it on hot dogs, Hank did it with class, and I forgot what it said about Barry Bonds, but it wasn't anything good. I know that.
Wasn't that the one where they drew a syringe on the sign? Was that the one you're talking about?
Maybe that was the one, but yeah. But he was truly. I mean, the thing that made him a great home run hitter and a hitter in general, because his numbers. I mean, he has high numbers for literally everything.
Yeah.
He had quick hands, man. You see him hit the ball, man. He's boom. He's so good with that, and when they were showing all the clips, last week about him, and he just knew how to hit. I mean, and you said something last night when we were talking. Never had over 40 home runs in a season.
Never hit more than 44 home runs in a season. That was of course his number. Oh wait a minute, excuse me. I'm looking right now at baseballreference.com, which is the go-to site. I am wrong about that, brother.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, you didn't have anything funny last night.
And let's face it, that's a rarity. Hank Aaron, in 1962, hit 45 home runs.
Ah.
And in 1971, geez, at the age of 37, hit 47 home runs.
Wow.
Look at this. This is ridiculous. 37 years old in 1971. 47 home runs, 118 RBIs, an OPS of 1.079, which is monstrous.
Did they have OPS back then, or was that something they're adding to it now?
And a 327 batting average. and he had that kind of a season. He was only third in the MVP voting. How is that even possible?
Well, who would be number one? That'd be the thing.
I don't know. I can check that right now, brother. Vita Blue was the MVP that year, and convincingly, I might add.
Well, 71 was his year, brother.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. That was the AL MVP. Never mind. My bad. Joe Torre was the MVP that year.
Really?
360. That was Joe Torre's best year ever in his career.
Right.
363 batting average, 24 home runs, 137 RBIs. Willie Stargell second.
I knew Willie had to be there.
48 home runs, 125 RBIs, and a 295 batting average. For obviously the Pittsburgh Pirates. But Joe Torre was the landslide winner of he got 21 first place votes that year out of 24.
Okay, well then it makes sense. He had just as good a season as Henry Aaron. So it was and of course Joe, because he played with the Mets the last few years, lost his 300 batting average.
Yes.
So he had 298. So, but he's in the Hall of Fame anyway, as well he should be. Hank Aaron, he led he has the total at RBIs still?
Yes.
And
2297.
Yeah, I mean, just incredible.
Career RBIs. Well, I mean, you have to remember, he played for how many years? 54, from 54 to 76. He played 23 years in Major League Baseball. He got to the Milwaukee Braves when he was 20 years old,
right,
and retired at age 42. So this was a guy who was monstrously productive, and every year it was consistent. It was just knocking home runs, and he was pretty much guaranteed for at least 30 home runs every season.
Right.
Drove in 100 runs a bunch of times. I'm trying to count real quick to. 11 seasons of more than 100 RBIs. And if he didn't get that, then chances are he was in the 90s. And then, you have to remember, back then, that was a big deal. There weren't a lot of runs scored back then. The season, 1971 season, where he was third in the MVP voting, several pitchers had ERAs under 2 that year.
Right.
So there weren't a lot of runs being scored.
And of course, he won was a World Series champion in 57. Was on the 69 Braves when the Mets beat him. Yeah. So he did win a championship, and that's always always shines a little brighter on a person when they win a championship, and especially like you look at a guy like Patrick Ewing. He was one of the great players, but he never won a championship. So.
Hank Aaron in 1957, he was the MVP.
Do you have his Negro League stats in front of you? So they're part of the.
I do not, unless let me scroll, but I don't think Baseball Reference has them. No, they don't.
Okay, the reason I say
they were minimal, and they apparently are not being added to his stats. I read that somewhere.
Okay, because that's what I was thinking. They're going to be adding certain stats to players who play the Negro Leagues, and maybe with enough homers, he can go over.
That would be
Barry
awesome,
Bonds.
but sadly, I don't. He barely played in the Negro Leagues. So
right, he I know his numbers weren't big. I know that. Yeah,
it was a very short stint. And there was a story I read yesterday. I forget. I think it was on MLB.com. Where Hank Aaron could have signed with the Giants back in the day. And the Giants could have had an outfield of 2/3 of it being Willie Mays and Hank Aaron, which is just mind-bending to me. And apparently, Aaron, I remember reading this, Aaron had the Giants contract in his hand, and the Atlanta Braves offered him $50 more a month in salary. And that was why he signed with the Braves, because the Giants wouldn't match or beat the offer. $50 a month.
Well, yeah. Also, Milwaukee is a great place to play, brother.
Based on what?
Nothing.
I've been to Milwaukee. It wasn't the greatest place in the world.
Yeah, I always imagine what his career would have been like. A guy like Willie Mays, is still remembered because he played in New York. And
he's remembered because he was a great player.
Yeah, true.
I mean, he was part of that whole Willie Mickey and the Duke thing because they were all great center fielders. But as far as I'm concerned, Willie Mays is probably the best center fielder ever.
Right,
and I'm talking defensively, but probably all around. It's hard to argue. And I know I'm a Yankee guy, obviously, and it's hard to argue against Mickey Mantle. But tell me what anybody could do that Willie Mays couldn't do. He did everything, and he did everything at I don't even want to say an elite level. It's above an elite level. That's how good Willie Mays was.
And Willie will tell you that too. So
it's not bragging.
No,
Willie's
it's
not bragging. Willie's just telling you facts.
Yeah. It's Willie, of course, is getting off topic here, but Willie was in the service for 2 years,
right?
And that really cut into him. And but Hank Aaron, one of the greats. I remember two things about Hank Aaron, brother. First of all, 1977, he was working for Magnavox as a spokesperson.
I remember.
And you and I went to Macy's at the Sunrise Mall to get his autograph. Back then, players, they didn't charge you for an autograph. He was just at a table, and there was a Magnavox guy giving out 1977, back when they used to have the highlights albums, and they gave out the Yankees one. And you and I both got it, and you got your Yankees album signed by him and something else, and I got a baseball card and an index card, but he would only sign 2 autographs. He wouldn't sign any other more than 2, but they should have said that, because I was a little angry that he did not, because there was no one there. We were like the only 3. There was like 2 other people there, and we went back.
Larry Fox was there, brother. I remember Larry Fox being there.
Well, all I remember, he wouldn't sign. They should have said, "Well, the limit's 2." Okay, then we go down to timeout and play pinball or something.
Yes.
But that was my only thing about him. And the other thing about him, I went blank now.
Well, hold on to that blank thought, brother.
Okay.
I remember that signing, and I'll be honest, I remember feeling bad for Hank Aaron, because even at the young age that we were back then, I knew who Hank Aaron was, and I knew how great he was, and it was. I felt bad because, like you said, there were less than 10 people there. And here's a guy who has hit more home runs than anybody, and there's nobody there. And could you imagine that happening today?
No.
That you bring any athlete of significance and say he's going to be signing free autographs, and all you have to do is show up, and less than 10 people were there. And I remember him being a little bit annoyed because we kept going up and kept circling back onto the line. Hey, there's nobody here. Let's go get more autographs, like kids would do. And at some point, he would see us again, and he would say, "Yeah, come on, let's and kind of just wave us through." And he wasn't going to sign. And I remember he was a little upset. He wasn't upset with us per se, but I think he was upset more with the situation. Like, what am I doing here? If there's 10 people who want my autograph, why can't I just leave?
Well, it was poorly promoted. We knew about it because we're in Massapequa. It's like when Dave Kingman
or something.
Yeah, Dave Kingman, I remember, was at the East River Savings Bank, and there was a ton of people there.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Like Dave Kingman, there were hundreds of people there.
Right.
And for Hank Aaron, one of the great players in baseball history, there were not even a dozen. It was just astounding to me.
But it just goes to show how things have changed, the way players do autographs and signing and stuff. Now they would go to some place like Steiner's, or they would do it through Steiner's or whatever. So, you don't see those appearances anymore where the old days they'd show up at a car dealership or something, or, they don't do that anymore.
Because they would get like $500, which was a significant amount of money back then.
Right.
And
now I know my other thing. Now the other thing I remember, brother, when he hit the home run, we were watching it, when he hit 7-15, we were watching it. It was early April game on the channel on NBC's baseball night, and it was early because they didn't normally do it until May, and they said we're going to cover this game. And
historical significance.
A week before, or somewhere around there was a special on him, and they talked about all the hate mail he got.
Yeah,
because some people thought he shouldn't break the record because he's not as good as Babe Ruth. Blah blah blah. And the thing I remember after seeing that, first of all, I was kind of sad. It's Hank Aaron. Let him be Hank Aaron. But then when he was rounding second, going to third, and these two guys just wanted congratulate him, and I'm like, oh my God, they might hurt him.
Yeah,
and he thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Years later, he talked to me. He goes, I didn't know who these guys were, and I thought they were going to hurt me, and it was kind of sad, And
all they wanted to do was pat him on the back, and
that's all they did,
and celebrate with him.
Yep.
I mean, first of all, that would never happen today.
No, they
would have been tackled before they got to him.
Yep.
But it turned out to be a nice moment, but it certainly was a moment that made you fearful because of all the hate mail and the death threats. Hank Aaron got several mails or pieces of mail that said, if and when you break the record, you will be shot.
Yep.
So
from the stands.
And the reason that if you see after the game, there's two things after the game that people need to see if they ever see a clip of Hank Aaron. Number one, his mother hugs him tightly after the home run, and they both said later the reason that she hugged him and she wouldn't let him go was because she was convinced he was going to get shot, and she was protecting him. Is what she said. She thought at any second somebody was going to shoot her son, so she figured, all right, I'll be his human shield. And the other thing, obviously far less important, is you will see in the reporters of the group of reporters after Hank Aaron hits the home run, you will see a very young Craig Sager.
Oh, really?
In the group.
Well, he was an Atlanta guy, so
he's not wearing a crazy jacket. He might have been like 22 or something at the time. But you will see Craig Sager among that group.
Well, one more thing about Henry Aaron, brother. In 1974, when Topps baseball cards came out, they already named him the home run king, even though technically he hadn't hit it yet. And all that year, 1974, I always wanted that card and never got it.
I had that card somewhere. You probably have it now.
I didn't steal it. And
I have. I had it.
Anyway, one time I'm playing scaling baseball cards. We'll end it on this one. We're scaling baseball cards, and I forgot who I'm scaling against. And he scaled the Henry Aaron card, not realizing it. And no, I purposely let him take it back because I felt so bad for the guy. I knew the guy was a friend of mine, so I said, you know what? I'm going to lose this one. You can, take it.
No mercy, brother. No mercy.
No, yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, brother, that just about does it. Another show.
One thing, brother. Breaking news: Chelsea have sacked Frank Lampard, their manager.
Okay,
that's breaking news.
And Liverpool lost yesterday, right?
Liverpool lost in the FA Cup to Manchester United, and Liverpool also lost their home winning streak, 68 matches, to Burnley last weekend.
And the Islanders lost to the Devils 2-0. Well, let's go Islanders. Anyway, you've been listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC. This show becomes a podcast a little bit later on. If you want to hear it again, or if you only came in halfway of the show, whatever. My name is Rob Leonard, and joining me has been Tim Leonard. Brother, thanks a lot, and thanks to Sean Novat for keeping this on the air. We'll see you next time. Take care, and stay tuned for Big Gold. Big Head.
Good gold with Big Ed.
Right here on 90.3 WHPC. Take care.